So, welcome back to Relentless Talk Radio. This is segment 3. This is the art and fashion segment. I have the fabulous Laura Tanzer on today. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about what she does. But this precursor, I recently was in a fabric refabricate show at Fabric in Tempe, and I wore Laura's designs, and I have to say they're fantastic. So I'm interested in hearing more about what she's doing and kind of catch up since last we saw each other. So, Laura, tell everybody who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, well, I'm Laura Tanzer. My business is just my name, Laura Tanzer. You can find me on the web at lauratanzerdesigns.com. And I'm an artist. I'm a photographer. I'm a clothing engineer. I'm an inventor. You know, the basic entrepreneurial crazy person type.
Laura, there's nothing basic about you. I read your bio part of this. You're not fooling me. You went to Parsons and FIT and graduated with honors. So both of those schools are like the top of the top. Like basically, if you're an artist and you even get into that school, you're already a rock star. Either one of them. Okay, so you're one of the top two. Then you went on to business school at NYU and not only got your BA in marketing, but got a master's in finance, international finance, correct?
Yeah.
And then went on to get your PhD in renewable resources at the University of Arizona.
Yep.
So you didn't just like have like an idea and kind of play with it. You actually went out and not only educated yourself, but you turbo educated yourself. And what's really amazing to me after having worn your designs is that having all of that smartness and that gorgeous head of yours, you came up with the most simple, clean, convertible, luscious articles of clothing and one of the most comfortable things I've ever worn. So that's intriguing to me, how you came up with something so simple, being so smart.
Yeah, well, I'm a really creative person, so you know that's a big part of it. And I'm a clothing engineer, so to me, I guess it's really about looking great, feeling comfortable, all at the same time. Why does fashion does not have to be uncomfortable. Fashion has to be comfortable so you can just put it on, look at yourself once in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm fabulous and I'm going to go out and conquer the world. I mean, and so why make it fussy? I'm not interested in fussy. I'm interested in simplicity. I'm interested in, beautiful simplicity. And that's the way I work with textiles. And that's the way I do everything.
And Lena is asking in the comments that a clothing engineer is different than just being a designer. What would you describe a clothing engineer as? She's intrigued.
So yeah, anybody can call themselves a fashion designer, and a lot of people do today. And these are people who have no knowledge of how to put a garment together. They have no knowledge on how to create a pattern in order to make a garment that fits properly and is proportional and is engineered so that you can wear it. There's so many people out there. They take 4 drawing courses or a sewing class, one sewing class, and they're like, oh, I could be a designer. Anybody can be a designer. And they look at the, what is it? I've never seen them, but there's lots of shows on TV about, the designer this and the designer that, the runway this, runway that. And from what people tell me, it's entertainment. And, you can't just go out and be a fashion designer. You have to learn how a garment works. You have to learn how the body works. You have to have that knowledge in order to do it properly. And in the past, all of the fabulous couturier, and I'll touch on that in a second.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing because they went and apprenticed from early ages on sewing and pattern making and draping and textiles, and they learned all of that. Well, I've learned all of that, and I started when I was like 7. So yeah.
You're passionate about this, and you actually talk about body geometry.
Yes.
Which, tell us about that.
So this is a system that I've developed for myself for when I make patterns and to dress my clientele. Basically, there are 6, just sort of fundamental body shapes. Circle, square, rectangle, triangle, inverted triangle, and of course the Barbie doll hourglass. Most people fall into triangle, rectangle, and inverted triangle. Very few people are circles. Very few people are Barbie doll hourglass. So I work with that. And when I'm working on certain styles and I'm playing with a collection, I want to think about fitting people for their body type. And when I'm making pants or skirts or a dress like the one, that you tried on, the convertible dress, I'm thinking about the proportion, not just horizontal proportion. Everybody's worried about their hips. Well, so what? But vertical proportion is just as important, because if the waistline is in the wrong place, you're going to look pretty stupid. So I work with that.
I loved your piece because this is one of the things that I find interesting about your pieces. They're convertible. So I'm gonna later on. I have to rush out to yoga after your broadcast today, but talking about body consciousness. But I have a video of me converting the dress from a long flowing piece, pulling my arms out and making it into a sleeveless piece with kind of I'm not even sure what you would call it, but like a little bit of a drape in the back, with a drape in the back. So tell us about the convertibility of your pieces, because I love that, because that piece could be one thing. I could be at a business dinner, and then I could convert it to the other piece, maybe change my hair and add some kind of scarf.
Right. That's
a whole different thing.
Yeah, that's the idea. The idea is to be able to take one dress and wear it 2 or 3 different times depending on what your needs are. And you could start out your day with a long dress, and maybe have a long sleeve camisole type of thing underneath it for whatever's going on at a morning meeting or a business meeting or whatever.
Right.
And middle of the day you have a lunch with somebody. Well, you're a little bit more casual, not less formal. You go into the ladies' room, you take the long sleeve out from underneath the dress, and you've got this short sleeve. It's a little trendier, not so formal, put together. And then in the evening you turn it into a cocktail dress with the drape.
And I love that. And literally, like, I did it right on the runway, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it was that quick. And I love your colors. I wore hot pink. By the way, hot pink has become my new favorite color. I didn't realize it until this conversation. I've been to several parties where I've worn hot pink since then. So thank you for that. I never really thought about pink as one of my colors, but evidently pink has been implanted into my life. So thank you very much for that. Now, sustainability is important to you too. I mean, it's so important that you went out and actually got a PhD in renewable resources, because you wanted to know more about sustainability. Talk about the sustainability piece a bit.
So the fashion industry in general is one of the top 5 filthiest industries in the world.
Yes, that's a really strong word. And you know what? You're 120% right.
Yeah. So I and quite a few other, small indie artists are trying to do our best to counter that. And then there are companies like Fashion Revolution. Well, it's not a company; it's an NGO. Fashion Revolution, which really puts a lot of great information out there. And I followed them on Instagram and subscribe to stuff. And one of these days, I'm going to join one of their meetings and protests and stuff. But sustainability in the industry means you want to source without waste. You want to source from companies that are not using toxic dyes or chemicals or finishes. You want to source natural fibers, because our bodies are, our temple. And you want to source from companies that are not going to create so much yardage that half of it gets burned or landfilled. So that's one end of it. Another end of it is how you design your collections, your garments. You want to design clothes that are interesting, and you want to do. For me, it's doing limited edition and one of a kind, because that way I buy small amounts of textiles and I use them up. So there's no waste. And what waste we do create when cutting for a garment, and there's always the empty spaces, right? You're cutting out your pattern pieces, and then there's leftovers. Those leftovers come in many different sizes. The really teeny ones that I just can't find a use for, we collect them in paper bags, and we donate them to the K-12 schools for their art programs, and they love that.
Wow, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's great. And I'm doing it all over Tucson, and I should expand into Tempe and Phoenix and Scottsdale. I just haven't had time yet.
The one problem we all have, we can't manufacture time, right?
Right.
Well, I love that I met you at Fabric, because Fabric is an organization that believes in sustainability and believes in repurposing clothing. I love that we were talking to Dory Morales together, who is the editor and founder of Green Living Magazine, where she talks about not adding more clothes to the landfill, and your convertibility for me also means that you don't have to buy 3 outfits, you buy one and use it 3 times. So that's really cool. How do people buy your stuff? Like, where do they buy them online? Are you in any stores? How can people buy your things?
I am in several boutiques around the country, and gaining traction with that. I have my website,
Yeah.
LauraTanzerDesigns.com, so people can go there. I have my atelier, which is in Tucson. If whoever's coming down to Tucson, you can walk right in, buy stuff from me there. And I'm trying to arrange like quarterly visits up to Fabric and bringing a bunch of stuff and having like a little pop-up shop type of thing. So I haven't figured out the logistics of that yet, but I'd like to do that, like once a quarter, and just bring a few things and see how, if people want to buy.
Do let me know, and I'll shout you out on Relentless Talk Radio and on my social media. Also, I definitely, anytime you're in town, you want me to wear one of your designs to a event or something and shout you out. That's always good. I'm more than happy to do that for designers. I think there's a lot of really amazing designers here in Arizona, and you're definitely one of them. I also really appreciated getting to know you personally a bit behind stage. I think you're a really stellar human being, and I'm really grateful to have met you. And I'm really proud of you. I think that, doing what you're doing and educating yourself and standing up for what you believe in actively is an act of courage and an act of grace. And I really thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, well, thank you for acknowledging that. It's a little challenging sometimes.
Yeah, it is. In a world where we have throw away everything and just everyone's concerned with the bottom line, which is usually the dollar, I really like that your bottom line is healthier and more sustainable than that. So thank you very much for what you're doing, and I appreciate your time today. And I look forward to doing more with you in the future.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good rest of your day. Okay, everybody, the last episode is coming up with Jeff Meyerson. So I'm going to tune back in a couple minutes, and Jeff Meyerson will be up next. Take care.